glaciers and stunning turquoise glacier lakes, making for a majestic and fairytale setting, was exactly why we flew in September from Orlando to Calgary to visit Banff National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site located in the Canadian Rockies of Alberta, Canada. Since we had a long day of flying and didn't arrive into Calgary until late due to our layover in Toronto, we decided to stay the night in the Marriott Hotel right in the airport. After a good night's sleep, we woke bright and early and headed to pick up our rental car and then towards those Rocky Mountains in the distance. We made a quick stop in Canmore before we drove to the town of Banff. Canmore is about 20 minutes from Banff and a stunning mountain town and tourist spot with a vibrant downtown in the Bow Valley in southern Alberta. It's nestled between the glacier-fed waters of the Bow River, the picturesque walking trails along Policeman's Creek, and the grandeur of the Rocky Mountains. The pedestrian-friendly Main Street in the downtown offers stylish boutiques and shops, art galleries, and restaurants that made for a very welcoming first look at the beautiful Canadian Rockies. When we arrived in Banff, we were staying at the Fairmont Bam Springs, the castle in the Rockies, formerly known as the Bam Springs Hotel, a landmark in this picturesque alpine town. Very Game of Thrones feeling and truly magnificent. This historic hotel was built in 1888 and is today the emblem of Banff. Once planned to be the largest hotel complex in the world, this castle-like Grand Hotel still preserves much of the glamour of the early days of railway tourism. As you walk through the Fairmont Bam Springs gilt revolving doors and enter the lobby, you immediately feel transported to a castle somewhere in Europe. The lobby's medieval feel, with its castle-like ceilings and stone walls, sweeping staircase, and medieval chandeliers, makes you think, am I in the Swiss Alps instead of the Canadian Rockies? Not gonna lie though, the hotel is very pricey, even with the a la carte discount that they give. Also, since the hotel is located in Banff National Park, just like the town of Banff and anywhere else you may be visiting within the park grounds, since you are on the grounds, you are required to pay the park daily fee, which is for adults $10.50. So just keep that in mind as well. There's lots to explore at the hotel, from ballrooms to courtyards and lots of nooks. The hotel is simply gorgeous, and so are the grounds that surround it. The hotel is set in a wooded area surrounded by stunning mountain peaks and next to the Bow River Falls. Once we had checked in and had checked out this castle that we'd be calling home for the next few days, we made our way over to the downtown area of the town of Banff. The town is beautiful, surrounded by high peaks and with a European feel. The main road has been made a pedestrian zone, allowing restaurants to spill out onto the scenic street. There are electric buses there, so if you're without a car, they do have public transportation. After that, we headed back to the hotel to hit the end of happy hour at the Rundle bar. This welcoming, stylish bar had signature cocktails and a great menu. Its happy hour is from 3 to 5 p.m. and you can enjoy Banff's mountain views either inside this castle timeless bar or outside around a cozy fire pit. We chose to sit on the couches around the fire pit, split a few appetizers, and enjoy the scenery. During happy hour, the venue has a list of $10 happy hour cocktails and some food items on happy hour as well. And everything that we ordered was really good. The next morning, we were up at 4 a.m. to drive to Moraine Lake for sunrise. Moraine Lake was about an hour's drive, and our concern was that parking was really limited. So we wanted to make sure that we got there in time to get a spot. When we arrived, we were actually the last car to get a spot in the parking lot.
It is day 2 and we are at Lake Moraine for sunrise.
Set in the rugged valley of the 10 Peaks, Moraine Lake is a glacier-fed lake in the most amazing vivid shade of turquoise. The lake is surrounded by mountains, waterfalls, and rock piles, creating a scene so stunning, it almost seems unreal. Truly, a natural wonder of the world.
It is so cold, but the view is absolutely amazing and so cool. You can see the light reflecting off the lake over there. Totally amazing. But yes, it's 45 degrees and it's freezing, especially when I was in Florida weather and 95 degrees like 2 days ago.
The best way to view the lake is by climbing the short rock pile trail and seeing the lake in its splendor at sunrise, when the lake dances upon the rocks above, creating an amazing reflection on the lake. It's truly beautiful and one of the most amazing sights that you'll ever see. I've done a separate vlog on this lake. I'll leave the link in the description. Following that, we headed for Lake Louise, since it was just a short distance from Moraine Lake. Lake Louise is also a stunning turquoise glacier-fed lake, but with a famous majestic chateau. This real-life fairy tale has a setting surrounded by high peak mountains and glaciers with an incredible backdrop of Mount Victoria, named after Queen Victoria, and a hanging glacier. Lake Louise is named after the Princess Louise Caroline Alberta, the 4th daughter of Queen Victoria. This pristine piece of wilderness draws in millions of visitors a year, and we were excited to be one of them. Since we were staying at the Fairmont Bam Springs, we were able to park for free at the Fairmont's Chateau Lake Louise. Parking around Lake Louise is limited as well, and parking in the Lake Louise designated parking lot will cost you $12.25 per vehicle for the day, and $30 if you wanted to park at the chateau. Since it was still super early when we arrived at the lake, we enjoyed some breakfast at the Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise, followed by enjoying the chateau's Adirondack chairs with their unbelievable setting for a nap. I've done a separate vlog on Lake Louise and the Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise, and I will leave the link in the description. After some time enjoying and walking around the lake, we took an alternate route back to Banff, down the Bow Valley Highway 1A, for a super nice relaxing drive with some amazing scenery and to spot some wildlife. This is an alternate highway from Banff to Lake Louise. The road is 48 kilometers or 29 miles long and travels next to the Bow River. There are many scenic places to stop and take some pictures, and we did so. You can also travel at much slower speeds, which makes for a better chance of seeing wildlife. The next day, since we didn't have to be up so early, I was able to grab some breakfast from Stock, the grab-and-go area in the Fairmont, and had a Belgian waffle with some berries, granola, nuts, and of course, some Canadian maple syrup. And look how beautiful! Since it was Wednesday, we took the opportunity to check out the Banff Farmers Market, because if you know me, I love markets.
So it's day 3 in Banff, and we are actually at the market here in Banff. It's something that they do every Wednesday here in Banff, and it's cool. It's like, you know, other farmer markets with food and vegetables and crafts and things, but it's just cool to see what they do specifically in Banff.
From May until October, between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. at Central Park, the market showcases local and regional vendors selling fresh fruits, vegetables, artwork, jewelry, apparel, beauty products, coffee, artisan foods, pottery, photography, and other handcrafted goods. The market was great, but just one issue. We lost our GoPro somewhere along the way, along with all of our footage on it so far. it didn't back up. So after retracing our steps a lot and visiting every lost and found, we were distressed, but continued our day. Onto Johnston Canyon. Carved into the limestone bedrock by thousands of years of water erosion, the Johnston Canyon, with its canyon walls, waterfalls, and deep pools of turquoise waters, is a breathtaking natural attraction.
Right now we're just walking into Johnston Canyon Falls, and we plan on doing both the lower and the upper. So I think it's about an hour walk and climb. So not too bad, but it's a little bit chilly. It's probably about 50 degrees, which we come from Florida, so that's a little cold for us. But the fresh air feels so good and it smells really good. And man, it's only early September here, so I can't even imagine just how cold it gets here. But yeah, I think the sun's trying to come out, so hopefully it will and warm us up a little bit. But I think as soon as we start walking and climbing, we'll get warm anyway. So should be fun.
The trails are moderate to easy, and the lower falls is fairly flat and smooth and should take about an hour to hike initially through forest and then on catwalks besides Johnston Creek and up into the canyon. The upper falls gets a bit more steep and is about 2 hours hike with an elevation of 859 feet and an entirety of 3.2 miles. We didn't do the ink pots, and I've done a separate vlog on Johnston Canyon in which I'll leave a link also in the description. The next morning, we made our way to the Cascade of Times Garden and decided to revisit Lake Louise and Moraine Lake to try to recapture some footage that we lost with the GoPro.
We are here early morning visiting the gardens here in Banff. The gardens are free, which is really cool. Really beautiful, very close to the Banff Springs resort. But really happy that it's such a beautiful day outside because I thought it was going to be sun and clouds today. So this should be great to get some really great pictures here.
Just minutes walking distance from downtown Banff are tranquil terrace gardens of the Cascade of Time Gardens. They feature landscape paths, sitting areas and gazebos, ponds, bridges, amid diverse trees and flowers. This 4-acre park was built in the 1930s and is open most days from late June until early September, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Peak blooming season runs late May to September, and admission to the gardens is free. We then headed back to Lake Louise, and then we're lucky enough to get a parking spot again at Moraine Lake. I have to say both lakes are still beautiful in the afternoon, but I definitely enjoyed them most in the morning because I thought that the shadows on them made them even more picturesque.
Hourglass, my calloused hands, my furrowed brow in all my plans. I'm coming to my own, I'm coming to my own. The distance I have traveled, the wool that I have gathered, oh, I'm coming to my own, I'm coming to my own. Heaven's ship sails low, all the while tender close. You know.
From there, we took a drive down the Icefields Parkway towards Jasper into British Columbia to see what we could find. This sightseeing route has been rated as one of the top drives in the world by groups such as Condé Nast Traveler. The Icefield Parkway is a 232 kilometer or 144 mile stretch of double-lane highway through soaring Rocky Mountain peaks, ice fields, and vast sweeping valleys. This parkway encompasses more than 100 ancient glaciers, cascading waterfalls, dramatic rock spires, and emerald lakes set in sweeping valleys of thick pine and lush forests. And let's not forget the wildlife. If you're looking to spot some wildlife friends, this is the place to do so. We stopped at Yoho Park at Emerald Lake, which was just 35 minutes drive from the Lake Louise area.
This is the amazing Emerald Lake. We're over at Yoho National. We were driving down the Icefields Parkway after we left Lake Louise today, and I thought it was further away than it was, but so glad that we decided to stop because it's completely and truly amazing.
Emerald Lake is the largest freshwater lake located in Yoho National Park. This lake is known for its incredible signature green color and reflections of surrounding peaks of Pleasant Range, and is a top attraction in Yoho National Park. Considered by many visitors to be one of the most beautiful lakes in the Canadian Rockies, this lake is far less popular than the lakes in Banff, but should definitely not be missed because it is stunning. From there, we drove around, mesmerized by the scenery, and stopping at random places on the highway, like a cute little town called Field, right off of the highway, just for that perfect picture. The drive was simply breathtaking. When we got back to Banff, we headed up the mountain a bit to try to capture the amazing castle in the Rockies, getting that picture of the Fairmont Bam Springs in its entirety. On our way back down the mountain, finally, there was a spotting of the wildlife friends that I was so longing to see. Ironically, it was when we were almost at the hotel. Manny looked out the window to his left to see a friend walking down the street. So I quickly jumped out of the car to go play paparazzi. On our last morning, I visited by myself the Banff Upper Hot Springs, located near the Sulphur Mountain, 4 kilometers or 2.5 miles south of the town of Banff. I got there before opening, but still had to wait in a line. This soothing and reputedly late 19th century craze for the water cure healing properties of the mineral-rich springs at the Banff Upper Hot Springs is the last remaining springs open to the public for bathing. Discovered in 1883, the Banff Upper Hot Springs is a commercially developed hot springs pool outdoors where visitors can look across the valley to Mount Rundle. The pool is open year-round, capacity is 75 patrons, entry is first come first serve, and reservations and pre-bookings are not available. The cost is $16.60 for adults, 18 plus, $8 ages 3 through 17, and free for under 3 years of age. I thought it was a well worth experience. From there, Manny and I both went to see the Cayman Basin. The fee was $8.50 for adults and free for youth. The Cayman Basin is the site of natural thermal mineral springs around which Canada's first national park, Banff National Park, was established. In 1883, 3 railway workers found the thermal springs, sparking a series of events that led to the creation of Canada's first national park. The site is a gathering place for sharing stories about conversation and the connection between people and the land. It has been a special place for Indigenous peoples for over 10,000 years and continues to be so to this day. After that, we took a drive to Lake Minnewanka. Lake Minnewanka is a glacial lake located in the eastern area of Banff National Park and just a 10-minute drive from the town of Banff. The lake is the second longest lake in the mountain parks of the Canadian Rockies, and the only lake in Banff National Park to allow limited use of power boats. It is a beautiful spot for picnicking, fishing, boating, mountain biking, hiking, canoeing, diving, and snowshoeing. The lake is also home to trophy-sized lake trout, Rocky Mountain whitefish, and lake whitefish. The town there was a resort town until 1941. A new dam was built that raised the level of the lake by 96 feet, flooding the resort entirely and forever altering the landscape around the lake. Since the water is icy glacial water, it has preserved much of the resort town and makes for a unique dive site. The diving in Lake Minnewanka attracts as many as 8,000 divers each year to see the submerged resort. At the lake, there are also scenic boat cruises with an interpretive tour guide that can tell you about the rich history and local lore of the lake and surrounding mountains. Or you can rent canoes, kayaks, or boats at the Lake Minnewanka docks. From there, we headed back to the Fairmont Bam Springs Hotel to stroll around the hotel and walk down to the Bow River Falls. Bow Falls is a major waterfall on the Bow River just before the junction of it and the Spray River. The falls is located behind the Fairmont Bam Springs Hotel and golf course on the left-hand side of River Road. And since we were down there, we then decided to walk over to the Waldhaus restaurant, the German-inspired restaurant at the hotel, for a bite to eat. We ate outside of the Bavarian-looking cottage for one last look at the amazing view before retiring for the night for an early morning of heading back to Calgary. Our trip to Banff was amazing. The scenery was absolutely stunning. So if you're going to be near the Alberta, Canada area, I highly recommend stopping at Banff National Park. You won't be disappointed. See you next time.